Hey guys, what is up? Happy Friday! Welcome to another video here on my channel. I don't know why I did that. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I know it is the end, which means yay! Weekend is coming. That is awesome. So I was contemplating what I should do for this video, and something that popped out to me on Pinterest was a book tag that was started by a girl named Megan on Goodreads, and I thought, you know what? Let's take a stab at this. I love talking about books. I love reading books. Let's hit some booktube. First question. Do you get sick while reading in the car? I'm kind of iffy. It depends on the day for that, because there was a while when I was little that I would get so sick while reading in the car. But now that I'm older, I don't get as sick. I get more sick when I'm looking at my phone, but generally I'm the driver, so I'm not reading in the car that much if I'm honest. Number 2. Which author's writing style is completely unique to you and why? So the author that I have to pick is Francesca Zappia, who wrote Eliza and Her Monsters, which is an amazing book. I recommend you check it out. If you read Fangirl, they have very similar premises, but what's unique about this book is as you go through, it switches styles. So you have it from Eliza's point of view, but you also have different webcomics and forums and stuff, and it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit different from anything else I've ever read, because you're not just interacting with her life, but you're seeing the forums that she's seeing, you're seeing the pages of the comic that she draws. It's amazing. And it was one of the first books that I've read in a long time where I was like completely blown away and really just into it at all times. So I recommend Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. It's amazing, especially if you loved Fangirl, because they have very similar ideas behind them, but it's still unique in its own way. Number 3, Harry Potter series or the Twilight Saga? Give 3 points to defend your answer. Easy, Harry Potter. 1, the girls aren't lovesick the entire time and make rational decisions for themselves. Hermione. 2, the main character isn't a complete and utter prick. He's just sassy as can be. Honestly, hate Edward. And 3, the writing is actually good quality. That's my reasoning. I don't like Twilight. I could never read the books. Honestly, I don't think I like Stephenie Meyer as an author. That's nothing against her. I just could never get into the Twilight books because I felt like they were so boring the entire time. Harry Potter I love, so I'm a very big Harry Potter fan. Number 4. Do you carry a book bag? If so, what is in it besides books? I don't per se carry a book bag unless you count a backpack as a book bag, which I carry school supplies in, but I always carry a book with me no matter where I go. At the moment, it is my Kindle, because that is where my entire Percy Jackson series after Lost Hero is on. So I've been carrying my Kindle with me, which this is how big my Kindle is, so it's very easy to fit in it. But I bought myself a backpack for work, which is my beautiful Captain Marvel bag. And my judge to scale, which I was like, okay, my backpack has to be so big. I was like, if it can fit the 5th Harry Potter book, then it is big enough for me. If it can't fit the 5th Harry Potter book, then it's too small, because I'm going to bring the 5th Harry Potter book with me somewhere at some point, so it has to be able to fit that book. So that is my scale for buying a backpack, basically. If it doesn't fit the 5th Harry Potter book, it's too small. Number 5, do you smell books? I'm not like the kind of person who like grabs a book and goes, oh, it's a book. There was a while where I was originally reading the Harry Potter series. Like, this is my first time reading it through, and we went to a beach. And so the 3rd and 4th Harry Potter books kind of smelled like the beach the next time I read them. So that was like when I was like, oh, I'm actually smelling my books. But otherwise, the only time I really smell books is if I'm in a bookstore, which then I'm overwhelmed by the smell of pages, and it smells so good. A bookstore, it's the most comforting scent ever. I love being in bookstores. Number 6, books with or without little illustrations. I'm probably neutral on this one because, like I said, Eliza and Her Monsters, I loved getting to see the webcomic and the drawings in it. I love how Rainbow Rowell the beginnings of her books have images on them that kind of portray the characters, like Carry On or Fangirl or Eleanor and Park. I love those kinds of illustrations, but I do not like the little chapter pictures in the Harry Potter books. And that might just be because I grew up reading the British versions of the Harry Potter books, so the original versions, because my family is Canadian. The first 5 books that we own are all the Canadian versions, which are the traditional British versions, and they don't have the little pictures. So when I read the 6th and the 7th book, I was like, why are these weird pictures there? So those I don't really like, but I don't mind little pictures in the books sometimes. So yeah, I'm neutral. Number 7, what book did you love while reading but discovered later it wasn't quality writing? I'm gonna have to say Maximum Ride, which is a really great series by James Patterson, but I sort of noticed as the series went on, the quality of writing wasn't as good as the first few books. The characters kind of got annoying, and honestly, the storyline got really confusing. And I feel like with a series, you need to have that constant flow and be able to reference back to the original books. Like Percy Jackson, for example, a lot of the time, the plot points are flowing very steadily, like you understand what's going on. And Rick Riordan frequently references back to the original Percy Jackson series in the Heroes of Olympus series. And the plot points are the same, and the details work, they're cohesive. It's not like, oh, this happened in the original books, but it actually didn't. Or this is something that happened, but it never actually, like, it makes sense to me. Like, it's not one point is one way and then it's actually completely different in the original series. 97% of the time, it's cohesive. Are there a few errors? Of course. No writer is expected to be able to remember everything perfectly. But with Maximum Ride, I felt like it was all over the place. Like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, they had a final book and then released another book after that, which I was like, what? What? It was just weird. I still love this series though, so who knows. Number 8, do you have any funny stories involving books from your childhood? So the funniest story I can think of involving books from my childhood is when I was really little, like 2 or 3 years old. I used to like to stick books in our VCR, which, if you don't know what a VCR is, wow, make me feel old and I'm only 20. But yeah, my theory now is that I wanted to watch the books because you stick a tape in the VCR and the story comes up. So why doesn't that work with books? I don't actually know my reasoning behind it as a 3-year-old, but that is my funniest story involving books, is I would stick them in the VCR. Yeah, that is the funniest thing I could think of. I was 3. That's my logic. Who actually knows? Number 9. What is the thinnest book on your shelf? I have that next to me. So I was like, oh, I know what book this is. Perks of Being a Wallflower, my favorite book. It is so thin, but it is the most amazing book ever. I'm holding it upside down. It is the most amazing book ever. I love this book with all my heart and soul. Honestly, I read it all the time. It is so good. I love this book more than anything. It is my favorite book. It is one of my favorite movies. Read it if you have a chance. It is amazing. And then number 10, what is the thickest book on your shelf? I also brought that down. And it is The Greatest Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It's solid. My logic behind how thick a book is if you threw it at someone, would it hurt them? This book will probably give you a head injury. This book might hurt a little, but not that much. The biggest book though that I know that I haven't read, I started to read but never finished, is It, which is literally like that big. And I'm like, what time do I have to read a book that long? But it is an eventual goal of mine to actually commit to reading it. That rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Number 11, do you write as well as read? Do you see yourself in the future being an author? I love writing. It is one of my biggest passions. I took a poetry class the fall semester of my sophomore year, and I am going to be taking a playwriting class when I am studying abroad in London this next fall. And I love writing. I wanted to be an author before I switched my major into theater. My only problem is my brain likes to work too fast for my stories to actually build and grow. The thing that I am going to reference is the Thomas Sanders Instagram video that he made, where he was like, I have this wonderful idea for a story, and like all of his old stories pop up and are like, aren't you gonna finish me? That's my life. So I find I write better poetry than I do actual books. I enjoy writing in more of a play format than I do a book format because I like writing dialogue. I don't really like writing descriptions more so, but I have always loved writing. Growing up, it was never a task for me. It was always something that I loved to do. Even now, I would rather write a paper than take a test, which a lot of people aren't that way. I am. I try to make as much fun of it as I can. So I loved English. It's amazing. Number 12. When did you get into reading? I've told you guys this once or twice, but I got into reading when I was 11 and I got to read the Percy Jackson books for the first time. Before that, the only series that I really remember being committed to reading and loving was the Rainbow Fairies series. I don't know if anyone else knows those, but they were about these rainbow fairies who got trapped in the mortal world by Jack Frost, and these girls had to save them and get them returned before everything was destroyed, and I loved them and they were so cute, but they were like that big and they were definitely like a young reader's book. But Percy Jackson was the first series that I really remember reading and then becoming an avid reader afterwards. Number 13. What is your favorite classic book? I'm gonna have to say it's Animal Farm because it is the only book, the only classic book that I really can think of that I actually enjoyed reading completely throughout and never got annoyed with and was always intrigued with the story. Otherwise, I read The Catcher in the Rye, but I remember kind of trudging through and being like, I need to finish this book. I need to finish this book. And otherwise, I haven't really read a lot of classic books. I read Macbeth. I obviously read Romeo and Juliet. I've read Julius Caesar, but those are plays more than books. So I don't know. Really, Animal Farm is the only one that I can think of that I really thoroughly enjoyed reading and never felt bored while reading. In school, was your best subject language arts / English? Not always. I didn't always do as exceptionally well in language arts or English, but it was always one of my favorite classes. I never disliked it. I just sometimes struggled more with writing prompts and everything, or if they had us do spelling tests, those kinds of things. I've never been a good test taker, but as I got to university and I was taking English classes, they've been my favorite. Hands down, I've not disliked an English class since I got to university. I've never been upset with English. I always loved English in middle school as well. We got to read Sherlock Holmes when I was in 8th grade. We read some really great books while I was in 6th and 7th grade too. I have never disliked English or language arts. I've never been that kid who was like, I don't want to go to this class. I've always really enjoyed it. So I am a book nerd. Number 15. If you were given a book as a present that you had read before and hated, what would you do? So I have this problem where I really can't lie about disliking presents. It shows so much on my face. I'm like a horrible person to give bad gifts to. Like, my mother can always tell when she did not give me a good present because I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. So if I got a book that I didn't like, that I had already read and I owned, I probably would be like, can I have the receipt so I can exchange it at Barnes & Noble for a new book? I'd rather read a book that I haven't read before. But thank you, I really appreciate it, and I know you made an effort, and I know that sounds horrible and mean, but I'm just too bad of a liar to actually like make it seem like, oh yeah, no, this is great, this is perfect, I've never read it before. I can't lie. I'd always be like, no, I've read this. Sorry, I've read this. And I didn't like it because I'm very open with my views on books and things. So number 16, what is a lesser known series that you know of that is similar to Harry Potter or The Hunger Games. Percy Jackson. I'm just gonna end it there. Number 17. What is a bad habit you always do besides rambling while filming? Since I have started filming, I have a tendency to forget to turn on my microphone. It has happened 3 times, which this is only my 5th video. So that shows you how bad of a habit it is. Other than that, probably stumbling over my words, because as a friend of mine put it, my brain kind of goes too fast for my mouth sometimes, and so I trip over words a lot. That'll be my bad thing. And I have to go back and say something again, and then I have to edit it again later, and yeah. But mainly it's forgetting to turn on my microphone. It's been a bad habit of mine. I'm getting better, I swear. My mom was like, you have a chalkboard right behind your camera. Write it there. And I was like, yeah, that's a smart idea. I just really forget to turn on my microphone, and I'll be like, turn on your microphone. Like, remember to turn on your microphone, Alexa. You're gonna film. And then I'll get like halfway through a video and I'll be like, I forgot to turn on my microphone, and have to restart. Number 18. What is your favorite word? Enigma. I love that word. It is such a good word. And it means puzzling, or someone who is puzzling, and I just love it. And enigmatic is such a good word. And enigma, oh, it's an amazing word. I love the word enigma. I think it's so like fancy, but also like not super fancy. I love the word enigma. Also, ubiquitous. Ubiquitous is such a good word too. See, I'm a word nerd. 19. Are you a nerd, dork, or dweeb, or all of the above? I like to refer to myself as a nerd because I don't know why. Nerd has always just seemed the most fitting for me, because I tend to really geek out over stuff and really get passionate about certain topics. And then, yeah, I don't know. I feel like nerd has always fit me best. Like, there was one point where I bought a onesie and I was asking my best guy friend, and I was like, should I get the one that says nerd or the one that says geek? And he was like, you should get the one that says nerd because you're a nerd. So definitely nerd, though I do love the word geek as well. And my favorite thing to call myself is a Gryffindor, because I'm a Gryffindor. So Gryffindor. It's clever. It's clever wordplay. It's clever wordplay. Number 20, vampires or fairies? Why? Vampires, because my sister always says that I am a vampire because I like to live in constant darkness and I don't go outside much, and I hate the sun because I burn so easily. I just fire. So definitely vampires, because I am a vampire. Number 21, shapeshifters or angels? Why? Shapeshifters, because I would rather have the ability to shapeshift than be an angel, and I'm not very religious, so angels don't have kind of the same meaning to me as they do to other people. I would rather have the ability to shapeshift. I also love Tonks from Harry Potter, who is a metamorphagus, so I think that would be so much more fun than just, than this like servant of God, if that's the right word. I'm not religious, don't hold that against me. Number 22, spirits or werewolves? Why? I'm gonna say werewolves. I really do love werewolves. Remus Lupin. I love Teen Wolf. I've just always felt more of a connection to werewolves than I have to spirits. I also love the moon. The moon is one of my favorite things ever. My sorority that I'm a part of, their symbol is the crescent moon, and full moons just make me so happy. They fill me with so much good emotion. I don't know why. Even though they mess everyone else up physically, they make me feel amazing. That's life. Number 23, zombies or vampires? Vampires. I freaking hate zombies. They give me a heart attack. I have had a panic attack at Halloween Horror Nights before because of the Walking Dead house. I was like, I'm not going in there because the zombies freak me out too much. I don't do zombies. Don't do zombies. Number 24, love triangle or forbidden love? I'm gonna say forbidden love because I think there's something more romantic about it, and the fact that you can't be with this person that you want to be with more than anything. Love triangles are kind of annoying from time to time, and a lot of the time the person who is the focus in the triangle is very whiny about it, which it's like, just pick one person. If you're really this confused about two people, do you really love either of them? Like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of love triangles. I prefer the idea of a forbidden love, in my opinion. And finally, full-on romance books or action-packed with a few love scenes mixed in. I love a good cheesy romance book, but I also love a good action book. So it depends on my mood at the time. A lot of the time during the summer, I will go for a cheesy romantic book. I recently read Love and Gelato. To All the Boys I Loved Before is one of my favorites. The Summer I Turned Pretty. Such great books for like summer, warm weather. It's like love, romance, all of this cute stuff. So I do love a really good cheesy romance book, but I do love like Percy Jackson, which is my eternal example, where you start out with this action-packed series that slowly develops a romantic tone. Also Harry Potter. Romance doesn't really start until the 4th or 5th book when Harry starts falling for Cho, but it's still a very action-packed book and the romantic subplots are there, but they're not the main focus. So I really do love the balance of the two. I don't need to focus on one or the other. There are some series like The Hunger Games, like Maximum Ride, where I feel like the romantic subplots take too much of a priority and not enough of a backseat to the actual action. So you need to have a good balance for those, but cheesy romance always makes me happy. And yeah, that is going to be it for this book tag. If you guys want me to do more tags like this where I talk about books and nerd out about books, comment down below. I am always happy to talk about books. I love books. I'm probably going to talk about Eliza and her monsters more sometime because it's so good. It's so good. That one and Fangirl. Those are amazing books and they make me feel so happy. Also, Girl Online is an amazing book that I love. See, I'm really into like this theme, this constant theme of books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if there are any other books you would like me to talk about, or series or movie adaptations of books. I am happy to talk about anything. Comment, like, and subscribe. I would love to have you here full time so we can nerd out about books, movies, and TV shows. My social media is in the doobly-doo, and also the link to my Patreon, which would mean so much to me if you support it. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye, guys.